playing the double, I think. Made the point that O'Sullivan is not really getting in early in frames very often. And that's the problem. You can get in early and get scoring quickly and get in frames one in one fairly quick visit. That's, of course, credit to Selby for stopping him doing it. Another typical Selby shot there. He felt that he could pot that, not leave anything. That's very well played.
Eight. Nine.
Missable shot here. Cue ball heading up towards the loose red, the other side of the blue. Seen one or two of these missed this week.
That's Selby now.
I'd be really disappointed there because there was an early opening in the frame, the kind of thing that hasn't happened very often. Selby's miss has cost him nothing. I don't know who asked for the cue ball to be cleaned there, whether it was a result of Ronnie's shot or Mark's previous. Didn't think Mark had got a kick personally, but it did throw off thick.
One.
I think O'Sullivan was mostly just stretching over on that shot. I think Mark was the one that may have thought he had a bad contact on his previous. Anyway.
Six.
Well, there's a definite chance, as you say, for O'Sullivan to get in and start scoring early in a frame.
Seven. Fourteen. 15. 22.
Not sure he's straight enough on this. You have to pot it and go through the bunch if you're going to run through. Come to the bottom of the cue ball. Again, this is an awkward shot now. Gradually getting out of position in this break. With probably not much chance to retrieve it. Not when the balls have ended up. Difficult pot this. But very much thinking about the cue ball for
Mark
safety.
Selby, 28.
Sounds like the previous frames, isn't it? He's accumulated 37 points here with doing a lot of work, but not by any means putting the frame beyond any doubt. Reds all heading towards that right corner, really desperately needs some cover. Does the green come to his rescue or not? Certainly plain ball, I don't think he can pot that. Might be able to just bend it a little bit or play it from the cushion.
Yeah, big moment. This, look at the Reds. They're all out in the open now.
So cushion first it is.
One.
Just 1 point. Might want to put a colour safe. I know there's a lot of points left on the table, but he might just decide that putting something on a cushion is to his favour.
Green ball. Mark Selby, 1.
It's a good safety shot from Sullivan to get that thin edge.
No, one thing, it's going to be a tense evening if it's like this all the way through to the end.
That's an incredible win-off.
Wow.
I thought Ronnie had been
Mark
lucky
Selby.
actually at first, getting the double kiss and taking the cue ball up the table, but to going off, obviously not lucky. You wouldn't see that very often. The red doesn't go past the pink at range yet, at least, but there is another red near the right corner from hand, which he can take on. He's going through the gap here, isn't he? Yeah.
One.
Of course, these two have won the Masters 10 times between them. Ronnie O'Sullivan 7 times, Selby 3. And they will both be in action at Alexandra Palace next month. And hopefully there'll be crowds in attendance. But whether there are or not, we will be there for the whole 8 days here on Eurosport, January the 10th to the 17th. Stuart Bingham defending the title. All starts January the 10th.
Four.
Maybe 4-2 up. But I think it's essential that he clears up here, or he certainly puts the frame beyond doubt here. Because another comeback from O'Sullivan, if he could steal this frame, then I don't know quite how the score would be so close. It's not quite over the line yet.
Six.
Yeah, got to put it away, and as I say, if he does, then it really does set up a big last frame of the afternoon.
7.
Not quite must win for O'Sullivan, but if he loses it, he's clearly in trouble. Coming back tonight, needing a really good start. Selby is 2 pots away here from opening up a 5-2 advantage. O'Sullivan did have that chance, didn't he, early on in the frame? Missed the red after Selby had missed the black. It just seems Ronnie O'Sullivan can't quite get in early in these frames and sort of put his stamp on them. Going Mark Selby's way.
$20. 21. $28. 29. $36. 37.
Yes, he hasn't missed very many today, Mark Selby. Pot success is 91%. I can think of 2 or 3 fairly important shots, or seemingly important at the time, shots that he has missed. But it's been pretty reliable.
44. 45.
The only century of the day. They go 2-1 up. But I think, as we're saying, there is one more frame to play. If Ronnie O'Sullivan could win it, I don't think 5-3 would be too bad a scoreline for him. The main, he's been sitting there watching Selby
52.
all afternoon.
He'd like to win it, I'm sure. If he could win it, you know, get in early with a big break, that might just send him off for the break between sessions, feeling a bit better about things. But the main thing is get it on the board, I guess, from his perspective. Mark Selby just controlling things at the moment.
59. 64.
Aiming to join Judd Trump and Neil Robertson on 19 career ranking titles.
70.
And he's only 4 frames away now from doing that. 77 clearance then
In the frame.
from Mark Selby to set up a big last frame of the afternoon. 3 clear for the first time at 5-2. Welcome back. So we've got one more frame to play this afternoon. We know Mark Selby will be in front coming back this evening. The question is by how many? It's 5-2. So it's either a 4-frame or a 2-frame advantage. Won that last frame well with a good 77 clearance.
77 in the frame. Mark Selby. The final frame of this session. Mark Selby team.
Well, if Selby wins this one, then he really does move closer to picking up the Stephen Hendry Trophy. 5-2, last frame of the afternoon, big frame. And not a good break-off from Mark Selby.
So, what a chance. Although the cue ball has stopped, and now it's slightly awkward red with the rest. Should have been the one in the middle. Just deciding on the rest in the end after thinking about putting the extension on his cue.
Six.
Yeah, played it well. If this was just played straight through from first frame to last, this wouldn't feel maybe like such a big frame, but obviously there's going to be a good 2.5 hours, nearly 3 hours before we start again, so undoubtedly it's one they both want to win.
Selby has just ruled the roost this afternoon. There was a suspicion that it would go this way after the form of the two players this week, and sometimes that's all you can really go by when matches are so close. Went to the whole of 33 frames in the World Championship in August, so you know there's nothing between them, albeit they've got contrasting styles. But this week, Selby has been in better form than O'Sullivan. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, I put a little poll up on Twitter before play began, asking our viewers who they thought would win. Now, Ronnie's got obviously a lot of fans, more fans than any other player, but 61% went for Selby, just on an opinion on who would win. Of course, the polls aren't always right, we know that, but at the moment, it's bearing out.
$21. $22.
Above the one he's going to play, that might pop to the left middle, which means he may not go into them. He's having a look now. Another thing he's looking at is possibly an angle to go into the bunch, so it's between the two options.
$38.
So playing on the loose one, but again, it'll all be about 2 or 3 shots down the line where he does get the bunch open as to whether he goes on and wins a frame. Now that was a surprise. It was always a little bit top jaw, maybe a little slower in pace. I think the ball would have accepted, or the pocket would have accepted the ball, I should say. Be annoyed with that because he was under no pressure during that break.
Yeah, I mean, he was gearing up to the shot you were talking about into the pack, but he never came. It's another frame, though, where he's been in first, got a lead on the board.
whether he can see the bunch or not. Selby will be pretty uncomfortable about splitting those 5 reds up here. Be unsure of where they're going to go. Of course, he might not be able to get to them, like I say. He's very good at protecting a lead in a frame.
Yeah, this has been O'Sullivan's problem today, not being able to get in first and put his mark on the frames, the sort of file it is. But here's a chance.
Didn't go to plan, did it? Much too thick. Some sort of a chance. So another moment in this session which might prove relevant at a later date. What's happening here? Ronnie's saying that Mark Selby's doing something to, I don't know.
Picking up his water, I think he said.
Yeah.
Well, he's missed the red.
There's an argument he might have put himself off there, I think.
Well, I mean, he's picking up his water now, so... Anyway, it was a chance, but Mark Selby back at the table, 40-odd in front. Of course, there was that sort of flashpoint, wasn't there, when he played Mark Allen in the Champion of Champions. He felt Allen was still in his line for a couple of shots. Mark Allen firmly denied it.
6.
Look, I do think that there's more scope for players putting each other off with no spectators in there. It's very hard to be statuesque when you're down there, sitting there watching. You've got to
7.
still remain alive, haven't you? You can't just completely not move. Didn't see what happened, but it's a shame Ronnie got distracted by it because it didn't help him on his next shot.
$14. Mark Selby, 14.
Well, Selby still needed another red after that one.
So he's got one last push in this session. Sullivan, can he win this frame?
Six.
Is he on the red? Sometimes in the overhead you get a great view, but you just can't tell. You may have to play this with just a trace of right-hand side. Yeah.
7.
And that right-hand side just took him into the blue rather than slipping beyond it. I tell you what, this would be... You could pull this up from his boots, this clearance, it would be some effort. He's been so subdued all afternoon.
30.
He's battled for every point. Just when you thought the frame and the session was done, there's chances cropped up.
Yeah, one last little moment of inspiration needed here this afternoon. I think subdued is a good word, but he's played the cannon to open those two reds.
21.
Yeah, he's competed for every point. It's not any of that we've seen before where he's not done so. All this comes really down to that bottom red, and why wouldn't you play on it now? You're going to need it anyway. Doesn't have to be the last red, the safe one.
29.
Spotted a bit of chalk on the red.
Well, you can get a kick, can't you, when you think there's something on the ball. I mean, these have been hugging the cushion, played slowly all the way through. At pace, of course, they'd sometimes rattle and stay out. It's a massive shot, this one, you know.
Well, he made that great clearance in frame 5 to steal that frame, and this frame looked a couple of times to have gone away from him. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Who saw that coming?
Sullivan, 37.
Yeah, I mean, he'd taken those few shots very well. That was a terrible shot, unlike him.
So from being set up to win an important frame, could well lose it now. 22 behind. In goes the red. Well, if that's O'Sullivan's last shot of the afternoon, it's not going to be one he'll look back on too fondly. He's still a bit bemused by it. Selby needs the yellow, and it should be 6-2. A dramatic last frame of the afternoon.
Yeah, but he's not quite on it, is he? I mean, while you'd expect him to get this, got to use the rest. It is a missable shot.
Potted it well. Well, it's not the deciding frame, but it does seem, at the moment, it feels decisive, because not just the fact that Selby's won it, but how he's won it. With O'Sullivan missing that red when he had what looked like a golden chance to make the winning clearance.
30.
It's been a rather bitty afternoon from O'Sullivan's perspective. Hasn't got in and made the breaks you might have expected from him.
18.
Here's the red again, and you can see his reaction as well, just disbelieving. So it's advantage very much Mark Selby as the afternoon session ends.
31.
He's got a 4-frame lead, and he's only 3 away from retaining this Scottish Open title. He leads